Hi, I'm Jamie Smart, and in this brief video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I consider to be the most powerful thing I've ever learned, the most profound thing that I've ever learned. And I'm going to be sharing it in the form of a story, a metaphor, and what I can promise you is that as you see what I'm pointing to in this metaphor, as you kind of get a feel for it and connect with it and tune into the direction that I'm pointing you with this, it can represent the most profound thing that you've ever learned as well. And that's going to be for you to decide. But what I know is that when you really see this, it can have a profound impact in your life. I'm talking about genuine transformation, making a real difference to you. I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in the lives of my clients and my loved ones. So I know that what I'm pointing to with this metaphor is something that's there within you. It's something that's available for you. So I'd love you to just stay here with me, and even if you've heard it before, you'll know if you get it because you'll feel it. You'll feel the truth of it. You'll see the truth of it. You'll hear the truth of it. Now, before I tell you the story, I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this, why I do what I do. And at the end of the video, I'll also tell you about how you can take it further if you want to. So let's start with the why. Back in 2009, I had a profound insight that shifted the direction of my life. Up until then, I'd been teaching NLP and running a company called Salad. And when I saw what I'm going to be telling you about today, I suddenly knew in a moment that this is what I was going to be doing for the next 20 years. And so I called up Nikki, who runs my company, and said, hey, Nikki, we're getting out of the NLP business and into the something new business. And I spent I've spent ever since then deepening my understanding about what I'm going to be talking to you about. Because what I know is that what we're talking about here represents not only the future of psychology, it represents a new paradigm for psychology, but I believe it represents the future of humanity. This is the solution to most of the problems that ail us as individuals, as organizations, and as an entire species. So that's why I do what I do, because I profoundly believe that this is what we need as humanity. So that's what gets me up in the morning, and the power of this is that the insight I had. I want to talk to you about insight. You see, insight is, I said I'm going to share with you the most profound thing I've ever learned. Well, the most profound thing I ever learned was the difference between intellectual understanding and insightful understanding. And you may have said this yourself or heard other people say it. I know that intellectually, but. And I hear people say this all the time, and I got to tell you, it's a real stumbling block, and here's why. The way your mind works, if you go, I know that intellectually, but, then your brain kind of goes, well, if you know that intellectually, the answer can't be there then. But all too often, the very thing that a person's saying, I know that intellectually, but, that's the very place they need to look. So I remember it vividly. I was being coached once, and the person said something to me. I said, I know that intellectually, but, and she goes, hang on a second. I've got a different way for you to say that. I go, okay, I'm listening. She goes, try saying, I don't know that. And that really stopped me in my tracks. Like, I thought there was value to knowing something intellectually, but it turns out that's just another way of saying, I don't know that. But when you cough up to it, when you admit to it that you don't know it, it opens the door for learning something new. So I had someone on one of my programs. I was running a 2-day program a month or so ago, and there was a guy there who really knew a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about intellectually, and he kept saying, I know that intellectually, but, I know that intellectually, but. I sat down with him, I said, try saying, I don't know that. And it was kind of a struggle for him at first. But to his credit, he went with it. He said, okay, I don't know that. See, so many of us have been rewarded for our intellects, or we feel like our intellects have kept us safe, or given us success. And there's nothing wrong with the intellect. It's great having a wonderful intellect, but the intellect can't do what it can't do. And so he went, yeah, okay, I guess I don't know that. Well, he started to have insights. He started to, once he was willing to stop saying, I know that, and go, oh, actually, I don't know that, he started to get new thought coming through, fresh new ideas, fresh new thinking. So I saw him last week, a couple of weeks after the workshop, however long ago it was. I said, how are you doing? He's like, it's amazing. His golf game had gone through the roof, which was the area he most wanted to have an insight. See, and the example I use, the metaphor I like to use is, like, imagine that you and me are called in to consult with a business leader. And this business leader happens to be a dog. And so we go in and, the dog, we say to the dog, what can we do for you? And he says, well, I've got this problem. There's this thing I'm chasing. And I've been chasing it for ages. But it's really, really fast. So the first thing I need is more speed. And secondly, it's very agile. Like, I go creeping up on it, but as soon as I make a move, it jumps out of the way. It's very, very agile. Thirdly, it's got amazing strategy. Like it's outthinking me every step of the way. And finally, I need more time. I've been putting 12 hours a day into this, and still it's evading me. So that's what I need. I need more speed, more agility, better strategy, and more time. So you and me go, okay, thank you very much, we'll get back to you. And we step into the next room and we consult. And we both agree that the dog's problem is that he's chasing his own tail. And so we're kind of like, oh, will you tell him or shall I? We go back in the room and we say to the dog, okay, we've got great news. We've figured out what it is. It's your tail. Well, there's two ways that our friend the dog could respond. The first way, if he's had an insight, if he really, really saw what we're pointing to, if it struck a chord with him and connected for him, he would go, oh, it's my tail. Okay, thank you. I feel a bit silly now, but thank you. That's basically solved the problem straight out of the gate, hasn't it? It explains a lot of things. All of a sudden, I've got a lot of space in my diary. If the dog had an insight, it would solve the problem instantly. But the other way the dog could respond is to go, oh, okay, got it. It's my tail. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. So, how do I stop chasing it? Or can you give me some tips on how to remind myself not to chase it? Or can you just run me through a methodology or strategy that you've seen work with other dogs on how to not chase their tail? Well, if the dog said that, we'd know that he hadn't really seen it. He hadn't had an insight. He got it intellectually, but it hadn't made a real difference for him. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is this. We're coming to the beginning of a new year, or it's the beginning of a new year, and a lot of people, they've got big dreams, want to make transformations, want to make resolutions, want to achieve goals, and I promise you that the number one thing you've got going for you when it comes to living a life you want to live is your capacity for insight. But the thing is, most people don't know how that works. They don't have the insight muscle as something they rely on. And so they actually often work against themselves in creating the life that they want. And so my passion and all my work these days is pointing people to the principles behind insight, the principles behind clarity, the principles that when you understand them more deeply, lead to you living a more inspired life than you ever thought possible, and really creating the results you want to create. I mean, I wouldn't have created a #1 best-selling book if I hadn't had this understanding. I wouldn't have created the business that I now have if it wasn't for this understanding. This understanding, your ability to tap into that source of insight that's already there within you, is the most powerful leverage point for whatever you want to create. Now, from time to time, I do a 2-day workshop. So I did one last September in Oslo. I did one a month ago or a few weeks ago here in London. I'm doing another one in February of this year, and this one's called Clarity for Business and Personal Success. And the total focus of that workshop is to help you have a genuine, insightful experience of this, where you go from, I know that intellectually, but to, oh, I'm living this. So this isn't about giving you more to think about. This is about taking things off your mind so you can live the life you really want to live. So the focus of the workshop is in you having clarity in your personal life, clarity in your business, clarity in your life's purpose, clarity in your relationships, clarity. And by clarity, I don't just mean clear thinking. I mean the deep, rich, connected feelings that allow you to really enjoy every step of the way. Now, further down the page, you'll see videos. One of them is a video from one of my clients, Donna. Now, Donna came on her first 2-day workshop with me at the beginning of the Clarity Practitioner Program, and she had an insight and literally dropped 30 years of negative thinking, of thinking that she didn't even realize was thinking, but that had been holding her back. So in the video, with Donna, you'll see me talking to her in the audience, and then around 2 minutes, you'll see something extraordinary happen. So I want to really show you the power of insight. Well, the other video you'll see on this page is a bunch of guys who came on a workshop I did in Oslo, talking about their experience of that workshop. But at the end of that video is a clip from Morten. Now, Morten runs the biggest personal development company in Norway, and his life was literally transformed by this workshop. He describes this as the best workshop he's ever been on, and these are people who have been on hundreds of workshops. So if you feel a resonance with what I'm pointing to, and you'd like to see more deeply and connect with the direction that I'm pointing you to, and really move from intellectual understanding to the kind of deep, embodied understanding that allows you to live a life that you love, watch the videos, read the page, hit the button, and I look forward to meeting you in person in February. Thank you for your attention.